Welcome to another QA-Automan tutorial. Today we're going to talk about setting up our first test class using TestNG. So some of the stuff we've learned in the last past tutorials, we're going to take these and kind of structure them in a way that will generate results so that higher ups like project managers can see and visually see the the status of your test or the website. So it's going to be really useful. So to get started, go to your source test Java, right click and go new package. Here we're going to type usually the name of the URL in which the test classes are going to be executed on. So in this case we're going to be doing facebook.com directly. So com.facebook, and then I like to add tests just so I know this is kind of what in the facebook.com section these are the tests. It's a good visual representation, so I like to add tests. You do not have to. It's kind of just a personal flavor. So finish. Now you should see an empty package. There we're going to add a new class. This one's going to be the login test. So we're going to do a kind of a functionality flow testing. So we execute certain test cases in a specific order. So let's add a login underscore test. Make sure this is unchecked. So login underscore test. Finish. So here's our test case. So before, you noticed we had to create the driver, go here, then find the element, send the keys. So we're going to kind of break these up into kind of different methods that will be executed in a specific order. Now TestNG introduces these annotations. So for example, let's start, we have before class, we have test, and we have after class, and yeah. Let's start with just these two for now. So when TestNG when it's ran, it will look for these specific annotations in a specific order. We actually should go before method, after method, and it will execute these in a specific order. Starting, it's like a hierarchy. We'll start with the class. We'll execute everything that before class, and then it will move down to anything before method, and then after before method it'll actually start executing test, and then after the tests are executed it will start going backwards, after method, then after class. This actually goes even higher. You have before and after test, and then even goes as high as before suite. We're not going to really get into these. We're just going to stick with the before class, after class, and before method and after method. So for this to be imported, we need to add public void. This one's going to be testing setting text in the email field. So let's say this one will fill out email field. Import. Make sure to import TestNG, not JUnit. So make sure it is the TestNG. So these are all failing because they don't have a method filled out under them. So this before class will be public void, and this is where we're going to set up our driver. So we're going to call it setup, and import before class TestNG. After class will be our class where we start kind of tearing down the driver and getting, kind of closing up shop before we can start a new class. So call this teardown. Import this. Before method, this is kind of something we may need to execute, like starting class or any kind of, maybe you want to start back at a certain URL. I think we're going to do without, after, and before method for this one. So I'm just going to remove those for now. Maybe a test may require something specific like that, but in our case we're not going to for this test specifically. So let's start putting our driver. So when the class is initiated, we're going to want to set up our WebDriver. So let's kind of start pulling from the code we've already wrote. So add the WebDriver. So the reason it's here is because it hasn't been. We need to create a method, or we need to call it, or declare it. So private web driver. So we can use this throughout the rest of the test. There we go. It's weird. I wonder why it's being used. It is being used. Interesting. I don't like errors. So there we go. Public WebDriver driver. There we go. New Firefox. And when the test is done, we want to close, shut it down. So our first test, we want to make sure that the page actually loads. Before we start testing, we want to make sure the page actually shows up. So let's do public void load page will be our test. In this test, we are going to do our driver.get. I think we have it already kind of set. Yeah, we should copy this whole thing. Driver.get Facebook.com. Now, when testing, I like to always make some kind of assert to verify that the test actually is a success, or it did the action that we are executing. So we're going to add an assert. Now, when adding assert, there's all kinds of asserts for AssertEquals, assert if true, and with AssertEquals it compares to pretty much any kind of object type. So it could be Boolean, it could be characters, strings, integers, everything. So what would we assert if going to a URL? We want to assert that is in fact the URL that we're going to is actually the correct URL, or the page title. So if we look at this page title, should look up in right here. Let's see the page title right here. Log in, sign up, and learn more. So that's it looks pretty unique. We're going to use this one as our assert, what we're going to assert against. So we're going to have the driver get the title and then assert this title, because to make sure that it did in fact load up the page. So let's assert equals. Let's see. We need to TestNG. Oh, so it needs to add the arguments string and string. We are going to do that right now, actually. So the first one, let's see if I'm right. Can't remember which is which. So let's just put driver.get title, comma, and then our string. Actual and expected. Okay, so the left side is what it actually is. On this argument is what the actual value is, and then our expectation is this string. So when it does go here, it will we're expecting title and then get string. For this fill out email field, we want to find the field and then send text. So let's figure out what so it looks like it's a ID email, and it looks like we have one node matching. So this is perfect. This is a perfect expression for us that we're going to use. So we'll go driver dot findElement by dot CSS Selector, and then in quotes put our ID email. So that will find the element, and then we want to send keys to this element. It's actually a web element. This will be email field equals import. Then we can interact with that element. So email field dot send keys. And we're going to use a login. We're going to use my login. Anthony.vito1@hotmail.com. This is a bogus one that I created for this specific tutorial. So yeah, I just created a quick Hotmail for this. As I am Anthony Vito, by the way. So send keys, and then to verify that actually there is value in here, we can do it a number of ways. But our value would be, we would check the input value, making sure it is Anthony Vito at Hotmail, or Anthony. So we were going to AssertEquals, and then our actual value will be email field dot, and we're going to get attribute, and the attribute that we want to get will be the value. So in quotes you put value, and this is going to return a string. So this will be a string, and then we're expecting it to be Anthony.vito11@hotmail.com. Now I think it would be wise to create a string email equals Anthony.vito11@hotmail.com, and then we'll use this email for our testing. So when now that we have our two test pages, we have load page and then fill out email. However, when you execute these tests, this test shouldn't run unless load page runs. That's very important. So we can actually set some parameters for our test. And one of them is we can do a few ways. There's a depends on methods equals, and we can set specific method names. So this depends on load page. So if load page fails, it will skip our fill out email field. However, you can do another way where you can actually set priority. Do I know how to spell priority? I don't. Why am I bad at this? It looks right. Priority. Okay, now I know how to spell priority. I'm not that incompetent. Okay, priority equals 1, and instead of depends on method, we can set priority equals 2. I'm not going to do the priority way. I'm going to do a dependencies. I just like that way personally. So we're going to have load page and then depends on method. So when I run this, I execute for class load page If it passes, fill out email field. Then after, it will close the driver. So let's test this one out. So we're going to go to our class, right click, we'll go run as, and now TestNG test is popping up because now it realizes this is an actual TestNG class. So let's run it. I would like to save. Oh yeah, constantly save. Control S should be your friend. So it will load up. There we go. Load up the driver. It went to facebook.com. Ran it and did not close. Interesting. I have no idea why it did not close. Though it did run. Ran successfully. After class. Why didn't you run? Maybe. Does this matter? Doesn't want to close on us. Interesting. Why don't you want to close? It's after class. It's executing. That is so odd. I don't understand why it doesn't want to close up my driver. After class is executing. Driver dot quit. Ha ha ha. I am silly. I am just full of goofiness right now. Maybe because it's 1:55 a.m. Yeah, this one should be it. There we go. So driver dot quit. That was what we're looking for. All right. So now that we did some debugging in the tutorial, because I obviously know what I'm doing. Well, I assure you, I do. But the test ran both, and both passed load page and fill out email field. The results of the running classes will kind of give you an idea. This took 2 seconds to run and then 0.1 seconds to run, which is pretty good. And there's no fails, so that means that our tests are working as they should. However, let's take out that O. Try running this with we're forcing it to fail. We should load up and then assert fail on us. There we go. So we have one failure, one skip, 2 tests that ran. So we can see right here, we expected it to say welcome to Facebook, but we found that it was welcome to Facebook. So, and then it skipped our fill out email. So we can move on to one more for the password. And our password is there we go, pass. ID pass, one matching node, perfect. We can actually copy this and kind of reuse this. I know you shouldn't copy paste code, and you should probably now create another method to kind of take care of filling out text. But for now, this is just kind of our first one, so we're not going to get too complicated. In later tutorials, I will definitely go into more efficient ways, but this is just to get your feet wet. Our password is, oh my gosh, what did I make the password? wanted to say is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. This one is our pass, and this one is our password. And this fill out field, we want it to depend on email field. So we want to copy this. We don't want to fill out any passwords if we can't fill out our email. So I'm just using this string password to fill out send keys, email field, password field, password. So this will now load page, then it will take your email, fill it out, then it will go to our password as long as this passes, and find the password attribute value and verify that it in fact did fill out with password. So let's run this. There we go. So let's load this page up. Fill out, fill out. There we go. 3 tests ran. Fill out email, fill out password field. So there you go. There's kind of your first test case. Kind of just really quick and dirty way of just getting some quick tests up, just verifying that the field's there, putting in the text, and then we can move on. We can do the click submit button, and hopefully in later next tutorial I'll kind of go into a more flushed out test and maybe start introducing some new ways of just having specific data and passing that through. So until next time, this is QA-Automan signing off.